Hey, Kelly Starrett with MobilityWOD here for the Whole Life Challenge. This is challenge number 4, and we're gonna call this joint basics or band basics. Now, when we think about how an arm or limb typically moves, what we think is this joint, here's the arm, here's the joint around the arm, right? It has a single axis of rotation, which isn't true at all. What we know is that in order to create stability, I have to have some rotation in there, right? No big deal. So I've got to add a second kind of rotation besides just this long axis, and there's a lot of movement that happens inside the joint to keep myself from impinging. This is a fancy way of saying whenever we try to mobilize joints, we like to hook a band to try to improve joint health. And what that does is allows us to begin to address some of the big limitations of the range of motion, which can be what we call the joint capsule. So band basics is really about talking about joint mechanics. So let me give you an example. It sounds very complex. Nailed it, but it turns out very simple. What I've got here is a typical jump stretch band. You can get at any Dick's Sporting Goods, Rogue Fitness. This also could be a bike inner tube tire. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stick my leg in here, do a variation of something that looks like the couch stretch. I'm gonna back up, put some tension into the band, and I'm just gonna achieve a kneeling position. Now what's happening here is that I've now put the band right in the gluteal fold, and this allows me to use the band to improve what's happening at the hip capsule. Now instead of just hanging out here at end range, with my butt squeeze, waiting for things to change, with the joint capsule, we want to mobilize it with little bits of movement. Like I'm gonna break a credit card, a single bend isn't gonna do it. I wanna work it back and forth. And so what I'm gonna do is keep the butt squeezed, move to end range. I'm just gonna move in and out of that end range. A little floss. If you wanna put some sexy music on here, you can do that too. The idea here though, is I want to get some motion at the end range working on the joint capsule. Couple caveats: belly is tight, butt is engaged. I'm not just dragging forward into dreaded banana back. Once I've done a couple minutes in this position, right, I'm thinking I got 5 total minutes on each leg, I'm just gonna change my shape a little bit, go into a little bit more of a lunge shape, butt is squeezed. Same thing, I'm gonna press forward, working around, trying to find out little corners, little rays, little vectors where I'm tight. And then finally, to finish, I'm just gonna be active. I'm just gonna keep my butt squeezed and lower myself up and down in this lunge for a minute or so. Take a break, butt squeezed, telling my nervous system, this is a position we're gonna work in at end range with the joint capsule working. What you're gonna find is that when you stand up and even go to squeeze your butt again, that butt cheek is a lot more active and it's easier to maintain a more upright position. We've become very short in our hips. This is an important piece. Now you understand how the joint capsule works. See you next week.